indictment. We don't have evidence that this happened on company grounds, but I will not go further into who is aware where things happen beyond what is already in the indictment, including with respect to what happened after the events.
Hi there. Thanks for doing this. Can you tell us how many victims there were in total? The indictment says there were 15 John Does, but how many did you interview?
I can't get into our interview process. We interviewed many, many witnesses. As I said, their team and our law enforcement partners did a very thorough investigation into this activity. We have named 15 John Does, but as I indicated before, there may be other victims out there. We're hoping to hear from folks after this, and we will take action as appropriate.
How did your office first learn about these events and what was happening?
I think we became aware through media reports, which is not uncommon. When you have media that reports on stories that relate to crimes, alleged crimes, we follow up and do our diligence. So,
Thank you for doing this, Darrell Miles, WABC. Two questions. I think I want to clarify a little bit on Mark Morales' point. Does the indictment allege that the resources of Abercrombie Fitch were involved in the furtherance of this sex traffic ring, where the company itself would have any liability? And then secondly, generally, just from a sex victims and sexual violence and the investigatory standpoint, we have this situation, these scenarios that are now victims are coming more forward publicly about power, control, manipulation of those who have aspirations. You have the Sean Combs case, you have this case. Are we finding that there are going to be more widespread investigations with regard to officials in power exploiting and manipulating people? Do we see like a trend happening where more victims are coming forward? So it's a twofold thing.
yeah, so on the first question, we don't allege in the indictment that the resources of Abercrombie and Fitch were used in furtherance of this criminal activity. But what we do allege and acknowledge is that the fact that Michael Jeffries was CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch was utilized, and the potential of an opportunity at Abercrombie to be in an ad or things like that were some of the carrots that I think people perceived as what they would achieve by participating in this activity. On your second question, I don't know if I could say it's a trend one way or the other. I'm hopeful that to the extent there are victims out there who have been subjected to trafficking activity, abuse, exploitation, that they would be confident enough in their federal and state law enforcement partners to come forward. As I said before, we listen, we investigate, we take action, and we will not hesitate to bring charges. In this office in particular, and my civil rights team, I think you know, we have a track record of bringing cases with respect to people in power who have taken advantage of and abused others. We prosecuted R. Kelly. We brought the Nixium case. We don't hesitate to hold the powerful and the wealthy to account if they have violated federal criminal laws.
And just to clarify, when I say a trend from the power, you may have just clarified that, but with regard to, how widespread and pervasive it seems to be becoming externally facing with regard to those in power, control, manipulating and exploiting people. Are you finding that your investigations are leveling off? Are they consistent, or are we finding that you are investigating more cases of this in this space?
As I said before, I think we stand ready to investigate any criminal conduct, whether it relates to rich and powerful or not so rich and powerful. If sex trafficking laws, interstate prosecution laws, etc., are violated, we stand ready to investigate and bring charges as appropriate.
What more can you say about the victims allegedly being recruited as heterosexual men to engage in non-heterosexual acts? And also, can you elaborate more on why this happened in the Eastern District?
Well, I think I'll take the second part first. I mean, venue is driven by the activity, as I mentioned earlier, and as alleged in the indictment. Much of this activity happened in New York, in the Hamptons in particular, which is a part of the Eastern District of New York. We have JFK International Airport, and travel comes to and through JFK, et cetera. So that's sort of the reason in part that we are bringing this case, among other reasons. There are victims here, et cetera. There's really nothing more beyond the indictment that I can discuss regarding why the choice was for heterosexual men, et cetera. I think I'm limited to what's there.
Mr. Priest,
Yeah.
2 points of clarification. One, when you said media reports, did you mean media reports in 2023 last year?
I think, is that? Yes, yes.
And then these 15 people who bravely came forward, had any of them had previously complained to law enforcement, for example, local law enforcement?
I can't comment on that. Any other questions? Jonathan?
Sir, on another topic, there's great public interest in this city regarding corruption allegations.
Only gonna take questions
City
on this
Hall,
topic.
SD.
We're not answering any questions on other topics. We said that before the press conference started. Next question?
Can you talk about what's going to happen next as far as when they're going to be in New York and when detention?
Yes, so they will have their initial appearances in courts, Florida and I think Minnesota, and then they will be brought to New York or travel to New York to be arraigned. We're expecting that will happen either at the end of this week or early next week. In terms of detention, we put in a detention memo outlining our position for Matthew Smith. We are seeking detention in part, because he is a dual citizen of the United States and the UK. The risk of flight are particularly acute with him, and for the other two, we're seeking substantial bail packages. If those aren't met, of course, we expect that they would be detained as well. Obviously, those decisions are up to the judges who do the arraignment.
Sir, if I can try on topic, in regards to evidence, you said phones were taken from many of the victims private. Do you have any video on top of or other evidence besides the story of the witnesses that would help you substantiate the argument?
We have substantial evidence. We have travel records, we have financial records, we have testimony of victims and other witnesses. So we think we have a lot of evidence that corroborates the charges in this case.
Last question? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
There's a press release, an indictment, and a detention letter on the table. When you go out, feel free to help yourself to it.
At the time, my schizophrenia delusions and hallucinations were full-blown. I thought people were out to get me. I thought most people were against me, including